This podcast is brought to you by our fine supporters at Patreon. Visit patreon.com/dissectingthe80s and find out all about the bonus content you can get, like the bonus episode coming their way later this month, the monthly newsletter, and so much more. Signing up gives you instant access to everything we've ever posted, so you can get the entire back catalog of bonus content, including our first 75 or so episodes that we took down because we didn't want people to get introduced to us with our lower quality audio. Visit patreon.com/dissectingthe80s to learn more. Welcome to Dissecting the 80s. I am Dr. Tripp, and with me, as always, the Marcus Brody to all my adventures, the Macho Mandrew.
Andrew Leno, although I'm probably more of a Marion.
You are perhaps...
In terms of wearing dresses and drinking people under the table, I'm probably a Marion.
That's fair. That's fair. It is Indiana Jones, because we are helping the world say goodbye to one of cinema's greatest characters. I said it. I don't want to hear your tweets about it. Indiana Jones, one of my all-time faves. Back in February, we did Last Crusade. This month, we're bringing you Raiders of the Lost Ark here, and then one of the low points of the franchise, perhaps not the lowest.
I don't think the lowest.
Will be soon. Yeah, will be Temple of Doom. And then, hey, down the road sometime, you want to hear one of these other ones? They are on the table for our new rules. Perhaps we'll get into that somewhere down the road. Let us know if you feel like we need a Crystal Skull episode. Perhaps there'll be an emergency bonus episode on the Dial of Destiny, it's called, I believe.
Yes, it is. I mean, I haven't seen Crystal Skull in forever, but I love, like, Cate Blanchett makes very good, strong acting choices. So I imagine there's, like, a good 30 minutes within that movie.
Yeah, there's a few parts of that movie that are, like, fine. I don't know if I want to get all the way to good, but certainly fine. I think the greaser fight in the diner is particularly very fun in that movie. It's been a while, but I remember enjoying that very much.
Yeah. I feel like I was watching this. It was like, I was like, did they do that in Crystal Skull? Did they do that in Crystal Skull? Because I can't remember how much of like a callback machine that was. And then I was like, oh, is Crystal Skull just like the Back to the Future meets Indiana Jones?
It's got a lot of that DNA in it for sure. Just because it's also they're both.
You said greaser fight in a diner. I was like, oh right, that is also
yeah. So there's moments in Crystal Skull, but I think it's a bad movie. I have not rewatched it in a long time, and I'll actually I will get into this more in that episode. I'll stop talking about it, but I truly don't know the last time I saw Temple of Doom. There's a very real possibility I saw Temple of Doom like one time as a child and have never seen that whole movie since.
I mean, so that means I might have never seen the whole movie.
Yeah. I had the DVD. I now have the Blu-ray box set, but I had the DVD box set, and I never opened Temple of Doom.
It was still plastic sealed.
It was still plastic sealed. Yeah, when I moved and was downsizing, it was like the last wave when you could still make some money on used DVDs. I sold a bunch of stuff, and I was like, well, these will probably be worth money, and they were. And I had already bought it on Blu-ray, so I was like, I might lose some special feature, but I'm never gonna rewatch that. Like, whatever.
I think special features is Disney is starting to do them. And I feel like HBO Max is starting to do them, and I'm like, or Max, whatever the fuck it's called now. You liars! You told us we wouldn't have to download anything, and we did.
You're so mad about it. I love it.
You're already bullshit. Fucking Zaslav, get out of here.
It's annoying. You're corrected that it's annoying.
Canceled Batwoman. Get out of here. I hate you all.
I'm just sad that there's going to be less Michael Keaton Batman in the universe, because apparently he's in like 10 minutes of this Flash movie.
Which also has its own problems that
a
star who's under multiple assault
is currently a person having a problem.
Several assault charges or has done it and been charged. I don't know how it works, but
I don't want to condemn people to say like they're a bad person when maybe they're having a mental health crisis. I don't know Ezra Miller's situation.
They're in a bad place now.
They are not doing well and probably need help, but right now are a real turd.
Mm-hmm.
And are burgeoning toward the bad person cliff. I don't know if they've hit it or not.
It's just so funny to point and be like, oh, remember Batwoman, the movie you canceled? It didn't have any problem, but you're putting out the movie where
Apparently, it was very bad, is what I've heard. I've heard that it was really not a good movie.
Wow, the studios have never put out bad movies before.
Well, but I'm not defending this. To be clear, I think it's shitty, and like a lot of people worked very hard to bring a bad movie to life, and you should let it get out there so that the little like this podcast is a great example of reappraising shitty movies. And at the beginning of this podcast 10 years ago, we only said mean things for the most part, and now as I'm an older man, and you're older too, we both try to see some good when we make fun of things.
Yeah.
And call them terrible. Not always. There are some reprehensible things we watch. I can't imagine if I rewatched what was the 3D one with Courtney Cox?
Parasite? No.
Yeah, if I can't imagine I'm going to rewatch Parasite 3D and be like, I should have complimented this. But, we just said some nice things about Crystal Skull, which is a movie I actively do not like. So, people who work on these things should get recognized for their efforts instead of having it shoved in a trash can to save money on taxes. It's horseshit. But I think that's what this was, is like, well, this movie sucks. We're going to make no money and we can save all this tax money. It's dumb. I hate that that's how this society works. It's stupid.
Yeah.
But, anyway.
Also pay your writers.
Yeah, pay your fucking writers, you assholes. The people who make the shit should make more money than they do, universally across the board. I'm talking the Teamster people, the grips, all those folks, the behind the scenes people, the writers, the actors, all of them. Pay them more money, you assholes. This doesn't exist without those people. But I don't want to talk about that stuff because it makes me angry. And this is truly one of my favorite movies of all time. Can't wait to dig into this. I know I said this on Last Crusade, and I'm sticking to it, having just rewatched it. I think this is a perfect movie. I think it's a 10 out of 10, but I still think Last Crusade is my favorite, even though I objectively
Well, you're allowed to say
it's not as good.
Like when I say Hereditary is objectively an excellent film, I do not want to watch it again, but it is objectively a great movie.
Yeah, I'm just saying I have a love in my heart that is big for Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I think it's a perfect movie. And yet the movie that I think is not as good, is my favorite.
Yeah.
So it's just a funny, Last Crusade remains my favorite. But this is just a wonderful piece of filmmaking. And it's been, I've, been doing the Spielberg rewatches, as I've talked about a few times. And I just watched a really nice, speaking of bonus features, somebody put this, all the bonus features from the Fabelmans box set on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
And so it was like, altogether, it was like 45 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. I got to circle back. You talked about the bonus features, and now we're talking about the bonus features. That's the biggest part to me of like the shift to streaming is all the shit that made me a little dork who loved movies and like was so into this stuff was so accessible in the digital or the disc era because it was all on there. These behind the scenes things, and you could see the special effects people making the special effects and the makeup people doing that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know where that stuff exists anymore, and it makes me kind of sad. That
like I said, so Disney does have some of their movies. They'll have like 4 or 5, like they used to have, where it was like, this is the makeup, this is the costume, this is the music, or like whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just not as common anymore, and you have to like go to YouTube to find some like 360p filtered through a potato, of anything you like.
Right. Yeah. And I was just thinking about that. It's like, man, like when I watch this movie, there's a few movies from, my youth that were very big impacts on me. And when you rewatch them, you can feel those feelings a little bit again. Obviously, I'm an old fart whose back creaks when I get out of chairs. But, I watch Indiana Jones and I can feel 8 years old again. Parts of the movie anyway, where it's like, oh man, this is so good. Like, it just makes me so happy. And it's like, man, I just hope that all the little movie nerds out there now are like figuring out where to find this stuff, because I don't know where it is anymore. And it was the stuff that
probably YouTube.
I hope so. I don't see it, so I don't like actively seek it out perhaps as much as I maybe should, but I just hope they're finding it. Anyway, Raiders of the Lost Ark, 81, Harrison Ford, perhaps the hottest he's ever been.
I was gonna say he's daddy. Like, Harrison Ford is daddy.
Like, incredibly attractive. You got Karen Allen looking fantastic.
Wait, is it Karen
cute
Allen or Karen Black?
It's Karen Allen.
Okay. Is Karen Black a different? Karen Black is airplane.
Karen Black is a different
or airport.
Actress. I don't know if either of those are correct. I do know that Karen Black is an actress. I can confirm that, but this is Karen Allen for sure.
I think Karen Black is also in Trilogy of Terror that Mom says is the scariest movie in the world.
Oh, okay. I'll have to look at that. It's very fun to watch the movies that older folks say that about. My wife's mom was talking. I probably have told this story 3 times on the podcast, so I apologize. Drink, I guess, if that's still a thing.
Yeah.
The movie that scared the pants off her when she was a little kid, her older siblings took her to the movies with them because they wanted to see the horror movie, and it was. Is 13 Ghosts the one with the glasses?
Yeah. If you want to see the ghosts, if you're brave, you put on the glasses, and if you're a scaredy cat, you don't.
Okay. So she started talking about it, and I'm a dork, and I was like, "Oh yeah, with the glasses," and she was just like, "Oh my god,
William Castle,
so
man of 1,000 gimmicks."
Off William. Yeah, I'm like the airplane buzzers and the tingler, and everyone at the table is just like. But so I'm like talking about all this stuff.
Emergovision. When the skeleton came out.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It was a fun conversation because it led to me telling the story of seeing House on Haunted Hill along with the Blob at Blobfest. And then she was delighted by the Blob because she vaguely remembered it. And then the next morning we're having breakfast. She was like, guess what I watched last night? And I was like, I have no idea. She's like, the Blob was streaming and I watched it. What a fun movie. And we talked about the Blob for a while.
How lovely.
I really enjoyed that. Yeah. But I later showed her kids, my wife and my wife's sister, some selected scenes from the William Castle movie because it's on archive. It's like out of copyright or whatever. It was easily available. And I took a piece of saran wrap and I made like a one because that wasn't 3D goggles. It was
a red bar and a blue bar.
Yeah, so I made a little homemade with a piece of saran wrap and a Sharpie so we could do it, kind of get the effect. And they were like, this is the movie that Mom found to be the scariest thing of all time?
Yeah, and that's sort of the exact same way I am with Trilogy of Terror because it's an anthology. It's a 3...
You've seen it?
I've seen the things that she said was the scariest.
Oh, wait, is Trilogy of Terror the one that has the doll from Africa?
Yes,
okay.
That is the sequence. It's the sequence with the doll with Karen Black that she is so terrified by.
I have read the short story that is based on. I'm not 100% sure if I've seen the movie, but
I mean, like as a 2023 viewer of a lot of a lot more scary movies than Mom probably consumes. I would guess.
Right. Doesn't like them. Doesn't want them. Yeah.
It is charmingly adorable.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. It's like it's very fun to like, especially because
but the way she talked about it is not It's not like oh, that was scary. She's like, no, that is currently the scariest movie.
That is exactly how my mother-in-law talked about 13 Ghosts. That's why I was saying it's like so fun to go watch someone else's.
Yeah,
this is the scariest thing ever, especially when it's older, because it just obviously just doesn't hit the same. But anyway. All right, this is way too much tangent of so many things to talk about with this movie, so let's get into it. Here's my first thought.
You didn't set it up.
That's right. We watched Raiders of the Lost Ark, so you know what that means.
Tripp, get the podcast up! Get the podcast up, Tripp!
When the mega powers explode!
I'm talking about the 80s. Oh, yeah.
Great Scott!
Cream of the crop. Oh, yeah.
Mega power, yeah!
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
I got so excited, I forgot I was supposed to set up the show.
I did have a thing.
Oh, you can.
I'll just say what it is because it's.
You have two cuts.
Chekhov's drinking game.
Oh, sure.
Because you don't get a lot of those in movies.
No, you don't get a lot of those. It's also funny how you misremember details because I remember her pocketing the knife and not like lunging for it in that moment.
Yeah.
Anyway, the font is a little Jurassic Park adjacent.
It's pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit off because the other thing I noticed in this movie is, and it must be a Lucasfilm thing. Although I don't know if they did the Jurassic Park sound, but so many of the sounds in this are like halfway to the dinosaurs.
I feel like we said that about another thing too. I can't remember what, but we definitely.
Yeah. Well, I think the Jurassic Park dinosaur sounds are like combinations of things. Like I've heard this a bunch of times that like the T-Rex thing in particular has like
a swan, a pig,
a swan. Yeah.
Swan, pig, lion, and like wildebeest are like the big three.
Yeah, but it's like a mishmash thing. So it's very possible that it's like, oh, this, I grabbed this piece, I grabbed that piece or whatever. But I noticed it because it was Spielberg. Anyway, I've been tangenting all over the place. But the point I was making with Spielberg, and especially if you watch The Fabelmans, and get to see some recreations of the movies he made as a kid with the 8mm cameras, this is like so obviously exactly the movie he always wanted to make. And it shows because everything here is done with such love and care, and everything is done to make Harrison Ford, who, as you said, unbelievably, or both said, but you called him daddy.
He's daddy.
I said he was unbelievably hot. But we
said the same thing, just in different languages.
Everything in this movie is geared towards making him look like the greatest hero alive, even though the character is a fool. The character is a bit of a dingus.
He's not as I wouldn't say, because I feel like a Kurt Russell hero is a dingus.
Fair.
I don't think I would put Indiana Jones in quite that same caliber.
You're correct. I agree. That's a good variation. He's a little bumbly though.
Yeah, he's kind of like got a weird Rick Moranis thing at times.
Yeah.
When like this movie is straight people camp. I think I said that about the last Indiana Jones, and I'll say it again here. It's straight people camp.
It's hammy.
It's like this is the world where like the archaeology professor is the hottest thing on camp. Like
right.
Everybody wants to bone, and like gunshots always sound like the bing, and like punches sound like you're hitting wet meat. Like everything is the quotes version of the thing, and it's a heightened world.
Which I think, in truth, comes from the serials that this is sort of a love letter to that they'd run the one-reeler things that would run in front of the movies, you know, the Flash Gordons and other things of that nature back in the day. This is obviously that. And then eventually they get to Aliens, which doesn't really fit with that motif. And George Lucas was like, oh, actually, there were many aliens. Like, all right, George, go away. But the...
Okay, George, let's put the shawl back on you and get you back to the home.
Go count your money. But the stuff here is exactly what you said. It's like, it's all huge and it doesn't matter because the world is also like our world, but not really, right? Like there's a great moment early on in this movie when Indiana Jones is like, didn't you guys go to Sunday school? Like he's annoyed that he has to explain this very basic tenet of Christianity to these two men in a world where like, of course we're all Christians. Like there's like one Jewish person in this whole movie, you know?
Mm-hmm. Actually, I don't even think we meet a Jewish person.
You're right.
They just do a Jewish.
Says, I don't.
They just speak Hebrew.
You're right. There may be no Jewish people in. I mean, actors. I'm sure. Or,
characters,
we should say. Whatever, but characters. I'm not sure there are Jewish people in this movie, despite the fact that Judaism is like a significant part of this whole Ark of the Covenant business.
Yeah, I don't understand that. We'll get there, but I don't get it.
Well, that's the thing. Is like it's not. It's exact. Like we'll get there momentarily, but like this movie is like, look, man, there's like a lot of lore and most of it's irrelevant. It's like the magic box has stuff in it that's unbelievably powerful, right? Like you get that? Okay, that's all we need to progress.
Well, like in Greek mythology, Pandora's box is said to contain the first evil and you can't let it out. Like I get a one-liner of what's in the box and why it's bad to open. All I got told was this box carried the 10 Commandments, and all of a sudden in the third act, it's full of ghosts.
Well, no, so you missed the bit then, because it's the one part of the movie that I think drags. It is the pieces of the 10 Commandments, and then they show it containing this unbelievable power because it is literally containing the word of God in concentrated form.
But why are they ghosts?
I think they are the ghost of all the people that have been killed by the box, that they get like trapped in it.
Huh. Okay.
Like the word of God is so powerful, mortals cannot hear it without literally turning into ghosts and getting sucked into the box, is how I've always interpreted it. That's me, maybe not canon, but they do sort of get at this idea in the movie.
I was like, it's a big jump from 10 Commandments to ghosts.
Yeah, I get the ghost issue for sure. Also, I think Spielberg, much like a good D&D dungeon master, I'd be curious if he played, it did not come up in the Fablemans, added to the list of things I would love to ask him if we ever get him on the podcast one day. Rule of cool, man. It looks good, so it's in the movie. That's the rule, you know?
I know, but like...
It doesn't have to make sense.
I'm not asking for like a lot of exposition. You can give me 2 lines. Even let's say... It contains the spirit of everyone, like something to something, or like if they're supposed to be angels, because angels are terrifying. Like There's a reason angels say "fear not" when they appear. It's because they look like horrifying monsters with 100 eyes.
Yeah.
Biblically accurate angels are like the rings of Saturn, but eyes surrounding someone's face, and then like wings kind of floating off their back, like the.
I also think the thing with the Ark and the reason why they don't explain it is because they're like, we have no idea. No one's ever laid eyes on this thing.
Yeah, I know that, but like,
it should have a myth. I get what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing.
People, even if there's like different stories, like the Romans said this or like whatever, but like, I just was very confused why like the 10 Commandments were actually a box full of sand, and that sand was a ghost. Lots of ghosts.
Right.
It's a weird pipeline. Sorry, that's a weird pipeline.
I get it. I don't disagree with what you're saying. However, shut up. This is a masterpiece. We're trekking through the jungle. Great introduction.
Alfred Molina.
A unibrow snack, I would say.
A lovely young snack. Because I saw his name and I was like, I don't remember him being in this movie. And I was like, this is why I don't remember him being in this movie.
Yeah. I love that the next guy gets so scared of a rock that he just like screams and runs in terror. And it's like, oh, well, clearly there's a mythos around this place that we aren't told as viewers.
And then when he runs away, like, I think bats fly. Is it bats or birds?
I think it's birds, but it could be bats would be the more logical given that it's a cave, but I think they are birds. But this is like one of those things that it's like, you can just like take this minute from trekking through the jungle through Indiana Jones's first shot and be like, here is exactly 1 minute. And you're like, what a incredibly cool character is on screen. Go ahead.
You know what this is?
You're like bursting. Yeah.
Calling back to my camp, the opening of this is the same thing as the opening of Mommy Dearest.
I don't think I've seen Mommy Dearest. I'm sorry.
Yes, you did. We did it on the podcast.
Oh, I thought you know what? I was thinking what's the John Waters one?
Oh. Serial Mom? Serial Mom's great.
Is that the one with the leg? Is that the one with the legs up in the air on the poster?
No, that's Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
That's what I was thinking of. Okay.
Serial Mom, very fun. It's probably his most palatable movie for a wide audience.
Okay.
But like
over Hairspray?
Maybe Hairspray. I think, but people know the musical more than the movie.
Okay. Anyway, I cut you off. Give me the Mommy Dearest thing that I clearly don't remember.
So
I think I have.
It opens with like,
even though I did,
shots of like over the shoulder and like things, and then there is a big turnaround reveal like a minute or two into the sequence with like, I'm Joan Crawford, and that's what it is. It's like his feet, his shoulder, his whip, he's walking, he's doing stuff, and then he like does a turnaround in front of a river, and it's like, I'm Indiana goddamn fucking Jones.
The steam coming behind him too, like clearly blown in from off camera. It's like, what a fucking intro! This is the coolest man who's ever lived. What are you talking about?
He's no Snake Plissken. Let's not.
I don't know. I truly don't know.
I think
it's like a real.
I love Indiana Jones. I have no problem with him. Snake Plissken's cooler. Sorry.
I think Snake Plissken is scarier, not cooler. That's what I think. I think the edge is there, which maybe translate. I think Snake Plissken is a little. I think if the two of these guys were sitting at a bar and I had the opportunity to strike up a conversation, which I wouldn't do because I'd be intimidated by both of them. They're incredibly attractive, and obviously would have just like 50 people trying to talk to them because again, it's Snake Plissken and Indiana Jones, the fictional characters. Indy kind eyes, Snake Plissken eye patch. Miserable bastard look about him. I think he's cool undeniably, but I think it might be Indy for me.
I was like, we spent a long time gushing about how cool Snake Plissken was.
Snake Plissken is incredibly cool, but my heart belongs to India. What can I say?
What's his name in Chinatown? Jack what?
Jack Burton.
Jack Burton did a whole different field. He's playing a different sport than Snake Plissken.
He is
equally cool, but different sport.
Yes. For sure. I just would be intimidated by Snake Plissken. Maybe Harrison is a more approachable cool as Indy than Snake Plissken is. This is what I'm getting at. Yeah, that's me. You don't have to agree. But yeah, it's just like the stuff Spielberg made as a kid were like little war movies and junk like that. And like these are clearly the movies that he's inspired by.
Did he direct Super 8 or produce it?
I don't think either.
He doesn't have anything to do with Super 8?
I really don't think so.
I thought it was because it was like very much his childhood. I mean, obviously not the alien part.
No, it's J.J. Abrams doing a Spielberg thing.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. I also think that it's like the train thing also is very confusing because Spielberg is obsessed with trains.
Yeah.
But I do think it's like I'm J.J. Abrams and I'm making my love letter to the greatest director of all time, Steven Spielberg, a guy whose jack I couldn't hold with a 10-ton truck to help me.
Why are you doing George Lucas for J.J. Abrams? Is that what he sounds like?
George is actually a little different. It's a slight variance in nerdery. George.
You sound like two Kermit, the dueling Kermits.
It's a very slight difference, but JJ's a little higher. That's all.
Duel of the Kermits.
I did Uber driver voice for a bit at work when I was trying to like do an annoying person, and someone was like, "I didn't know Kermit was here," and I was like, actually, hold on, I gotta find Uber driver now. But I went from Uber driver voice to Kermit and was like, actually, Kermit is a little bit different than the guy I was just doing, and people were a little bit like, "You're embarrassing."
Yeah, I get it.
But he's like, we got the map in the foreground, Melina in the background, and then the mist and the whip. It's just.
I love a whip.
Damn cool.
I love a whip. It's such a great weapon.
Yeah. Also, I love that in this movie that there's a set of rules for how this thing works. They have absolutely nothing to do with the way
it's how most movies treat whips, though.
Yeah, they're like a
lasso,
grappling hook,
a grappling hook,
grappling hook. Yeah. He can like throw it around a beam and it snaps tight and holds his weight. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, Catwoman does the same thing. We love it.
Yeah. Well, I think Catwoman does it because Indy does it. I think this is like the genesis of the whip is Gatling or grappling.
No, because I think
also fun dumb trivia. If you ever want to stump some people, ask them what the first man-made object to break the sound barrier was.
Is it not a whip?
No, it is a whip, but people are like think it's like a jet or something.
Oh, like that crazy one from like 10 years ago that looked like the Earth was opening up.
The jet?
There was some crazy jet thing that like was being tested, and they like told everyone first because they were like, if we don't, this looks like Stranger Things is happening.
I don't remember what you're talking about. I don't have to Google.
I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, I think Catwoman was doing that with whips like in like the 40s when she first debuted in a dress.
Was she swinging around like that, like grappling hook? Okay,
I think so.
Movie logic. It could probably comes from adventure movies. I'm probably whatever. Melina is so perfect as the sidekick in this, and I think kind of like actively fucked up Indiana Jones sidekickery forever because so many of his sidekicks and subsequent things are like shit scared and terrified. And it's just like, no, this works, but it works to establish the character. Now we don't need it anymore. But it's like,
but also like, why would Indiana Jones pick that person to like be his number 2 on an expedition? Do you know what I mean?
Well, he has like 4 people with him, and then one by one, they like first guy tries to.
No, I just mean like if what you're saying, like every sidekick shouldn't be like Indy would not keep picking this like scaredy pants for every sidekick for every mission.
I assume that it's like he got there and he had $48 and this is what that bought him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because he's shoestringing this. But it also really sets up the character because, like, this is 40 years later. We've seen Indiana Jones a billion times in a billion iterations. We've seen Kermit be Indiana Jones. We've watched the Stunt Spectacular. And
I got notes about that too.
Like, yeah. But like here it's like you have this guy calm, cool, and collected. And right behind him is a dude who, like most of us, is shitting his pants at this. It's like, this is scary and bad. What are you doing?
Yes.
And he's like, no, it's fine. No, it's fine. We got the whip jump here. And then this is the thing I needed to ask you, because I don't want to, we're going to maybe gloss over some plot of this movie, given that everyone, I assume, listening to this has seen it. You've got the script. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you're up for Alfred Molina because it's 1981 and they're like, you'll just get a tan and you'll play not white.
Yeah. I mean, that was me for a while.
Exactly what we did. Yeah. Would you take this for like a standard actor paycheck to be in a movie with like a good pedigree like this, if you had to be the Alfred Molina spider part?
So I'm think
this is not like Molina did not make a big chunk of change for this, right? Like he maybe made more than a day player, but he's not making like a big fat bump.
So what dollar amount are you picturing when you say that?
Like under $5,000?
I might. It would take a lot of like thought that you don't get when you get offered things like that. You don't get a lot of time to think for that kind of thing.
Right.
It would take a lot of thought, and I would probably pop a Zanny. But like to work in a movie with someone of the caliber of, you know, Harrison Ford in 81 and a director like Steven Spielberg, like, and it's not like I'm like, if they were like, oh, you're in a crowd of people that get spiders dumped on you, like, no, I won't. I'm sorry, I can't do that.
You have a role. You're not an actor.
Yeah, I have lines and a role, and I'm featured on camera, and my name's in the opening credits.
It's a pretty good role. Honestly, it's a pretty
His
good
name's
role.
in the opening credits. Like, it's wild.
Yeah.
I would for like
he is like, because this movie is so iconic and memorable, he falls lower, but like no lower than like the 6th or 7th most memorable portion of this movie.
He's up there.
Yeah.
So like as long as it was, I would say around $5,000.
I was gonna say, what is the dollar value at which it's like, yes,
anything lower than $4,500? No.
Okay.
Just because
there's a very real world in which like Molina made like $2,500 to be in this movie. I have no idea, right?
But I'm also like thinking like in terms of, like that would be in $2,500 and then money. So I'm guessing it's probably
yeah.
So I would say no less than $4,500.
Okay.
And also I would need to have like lots of conversations with the animal people.
The My Brother and Me TV show, one of the brothers is very afraid of spiders, and they of course had like a spider guy come on the show and do a bit, and eventually there was like a lot of open containers of spiders, and the brother was like, Travis, the one who's afraid of spiders, was like, I'm willing to let that spider walk on my hand if you put away all of the other spiders, because there are too many loose spiders here. And the spider guy was so excited by it, you can like see it jump off screen, that he just like immediately starts herding spiders back to where they belong and putting lids on jars so that they can do this bit. Very good stuff.
Yeah, I could not. Also, in this world, the spiders move so fast. Like they walk into this tunnel and their back is covered in spiders, which like, I don't think spiders move that fast.
No. I assume they're dropping from the ceiling.
Well, they're tarantulas. Tarantulas don't do webs. Well,
we know that, but I think in the movie part, they're like walking through cobwebs and stuff. I don't think they are necessarily with what you think. You know what I mean? It's like they need a spider that looks big on camera.
Yeah.
And so it's a tarantula by default. It's my guess.
Because they almost did a tarantula for fucking Sam Raimi Spider-Man. Speaking of Alfred Molina.
Oh, yeah.
They almost did a tarantula for that, and then they're like, they don't really do webs, and also that's too big.
Yeah. But I think tarantula is the default movie spider just because it's huge and you can see it easily on camera.
Yeah.
Like that's why it's a tarantula in Home Alone, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's also a pet, but whatever. This whole sequence, like I could spend.
That's the one thing my kid will like. If my kid asks me for, that's the thing I'm denying him.
No spider.
Yeah, you can't have a spider pet.
Yeah.
I will do we can do literally anything else you want to do. I don't care. I will absolutely not have a spider like living in my home for a purpose.
It seems like a reasonable rule. I could do a 2-hour movie podcast on just this sequence of like collecting the fertility idol, but it's like every shot of this is better than last. We have he talks about the guy who was his rival who came in here and he never was heard of again, and then we see that guy like strung up on the spears that come out of the wall. Mm-hmm. Did you watch the Diet Coke commercial?
I did not. I'm sorry.
I'm going to post it with this because it is, you should watch it because it's fantastic. It's a 2-minute long Diet Coke commercial. If you pay attention to the clips of Raiders of the Lost Ark that they use in it, it would take this woman like a full 100 minutes to get the Diet Coke, but she's like going to the fridge and like the floor separates like the gap here that you have to jump over, and then they have a stunt double play Indiana Jones and they never show his face. It's like
I love that
down and stuff, and it's just a body double basically. But they do all these Indiana Jones stunts just to get a Diet Coke to the guy, the couple, the man half of the couple watching Indiana Jones on television.
Was it like a partnership to be like, Indiana Jones is going to be playing on ABC or like whatever?
I think it might have been an ad for Coke with Indiana Jones being on VHS. Because I saw this. I saw this posted, and that's why I shared it. It was on Reddit, I think, or maybe Twitter, and people were like, "Oh, this was on so many VHS tapes I had as a kid," and so it's probably like a combo ad like that.
Also, like, I know I'm not like a science smart guy.
Mhm.
How in the world does the stupid like light beam trigger like those things work today because it's a laser shooting at a mirror that goes back, and when it is broken, you have to break the beam. But like these are just like, oh, it's sunlight. It's bright sunlight, and when you step in front of it, it makes something happen, which is like, how?
Yeah, I mean, it's magic, obviously. I don't know.
Obviously. I just didn't know if there was ever like did anyone ever do that?
It's possible, but I don't know it. We have that. We have the put the whip around the beam and jump over. Then we have the things on the floor, the pressure pads. And then, of course, we finally get to the fertility idol.
The idol is so hilarious looking. Like,
it's very strange.
the idol, its facial expression looks like it's a friend at like a Real Housewives dinner party, and two of the housewives are fighting, and it's just sitting there. That's what its face looks like.
They're trying to enjoy their Caesar salad.
Yeah, they're like, I got a souffle.
I can't leave. I ordered.
They're
the
like,
souffle.
There's like the servers coming around with the food, and they have to be like, that's mine over here. As like Kyle Richards is like, how dare you?
Do you have the orange glazed salmon? Yeah, the orange glazed salmon. Yeah, here. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so
as it's
much.
just like,
I don't want the fish fork.
how dare you?
I don't want the fish fork. No, you don't come back with a fish. I don't have time for this. I don't want a fish fork.
Yeah, that's the idol's face. Is just like,
It's a grimacing grin. Yeah. I had a somebody brought in to work one time, one of those like bank versions of it. I don't know if you've ever seen it, like a kid's bank version of it.
oh, of the idol? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's like, it's so funny to hold in your hands. Like it is.
Is it like shiny looking?
It is like a shiny, like, but not metallic, not the way metal is shiny, but it's like painted to look, like gold. It's like a children's bank.
That's
it's not
sort of like
it's
vinyl.
like plastic rubber. Yeah, it's vinyl. Yeah, that's what I want. It's like a gold vinyl.
I don't think I saw one of those in Disney. I sent you the picture when I went last time of like, they have an Indiana Jones little like wall of stuff in one of the stores now.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if I saw that there.
I had not seen it before, but I was delighted by it because I wore it's what's that thing people do when they wear like Disney
bounding
stuff to the. Yeah, I basically did Indiana Jones bounding as a Halloween costume at work one time. I'm sure
it's an easy one
on the podcast. Yeah, I had all the stuff, and it's like I wore a hat and I put the whip on my belt, and then my shitty boss was like so furious that because my friend Angie was like, "Oh, do you want to dress up?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll do something very casual." And she's like, "Okay." So she like put on this like kind of flowy Grecian dress over her work clothes, and I wore like a white shirt tucked into brown pants, and I had the whip on my belt and the hat, and I wore my leather coat, and he was like furious about this, like genuinely very upset. He's like, "What if I had to send you to city council?" And I was like, "I'd take off the hat and the whip and I'd be wearing a white shirt."
Like,
and the other editor, I love this. She was like, "He's dressed nicer than he is most days when he comes to work." And I started cracking up. And she's like, "You see," I was like, she's right. I wear a polo shirt every day. And she's like, "Yeah, he's wearing a button-down shirt. Like, it's cute if he's wearing the stuff." And then I was so vindicated. Like a years later, I did the same thing at another job and used to get a free Chipotle or half off your Chipotle.
yeah, burritos. That was the shit.
Yeah. And I went in there and the guy didn't give me the discount, and I was like, "Come on, man, I'm wearing a costume." And they're like, "Who are you?" And the person in line behind me, who thankfully was a young person, because I was like, "Oh my God, do young people not know Indiana Jones anymore?" was like, "He's obviously Indiana Jones." And the guy was like, "Whatever," rolling his eyes, and took the $5 off my burrito. But I was like, "Come on, man."
Yeah, I used to love that was like my favorite thing to do on Halloween.
Yeah, I went there for lunch on a lot of Halloweens when I worked at that job, and then they made it you had to dress up like a burrito, and it wasn't as fun for me anymore.
Wait, they did? That I didn't hear about that one.
That particular location, it was like, "Come dressed as a burrito and we'll give you a free burrito." And I was like, "Well, I have dignity." Anyway, we get the bag of sand. oh shit, I did not put the amount of sand in here correctly, as no human being possibly could.
Yeah.
It's a completely random chance. And then the walls are crumbling down.
This is a
and
job for the
Melina
second
does-
unit director.
Yeah, exactly. This is a big part of that stunt show we talked about in Disney World, which is crazy that they're still filming the stunt show for a movie that came out 42 years ago. Still filming the second unit.
Oh, yes. I was like, they don't film it. I was like, no, I see what you're doing. I got it. I am here now.
The kayfabe of that stunt show is that they are actively filming the second unit for Indiana Jones.
Oh, I didn't. It's been a minute since I've actually seen it. I thought they were just like, this is what a second unit does.
No, the kayfabe of that show is we are shooting second unit for Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, a movie that has now been out for 14 years.
Do they have like voiceover from Spielberg at all to be like?
No Spielberg. And there may have one time been, but not anymore. It's hosted. The last time I went, it's hosted by that guy who hosts most of the Disney like parades and stuff that they stream on YouTube. He's a tall, thin, bald guy, and he's got a really great booming voice, and he was the host. And I was like, hey, that's the guy I've seen from YouTube.
I do not remember that.
We got Melina. He gets across, and then he, has the whip. Throw me the idol, and I'll throw you the whip. And of course, it's like, sorry, bud, and then leaves.
Yep.
I love the. He grabs this. He jumps across, and he grabs onto this.
Like dry reed.
Reed, yeah, thank you. And it's like the magician with the scarf gag,
Yes.
where he's like pulling it out, or like a little kid pulling tissues out of a box.
Cats with the toilet paper.
Yeah. Just coming out of it. He gets out. He's covered in cobwebs and leaves. And here's Belloc, the villain of the movie.
Well, first, here's Alfred Molina's dead body.
Okay, we gotta talk about this.
I mean, that's what the movie is telling us. It's Alfred Molina's dead body.
I'm not kidding you. I've seen this movie a billion times. I truly couldn't put a number on it. And today watching it was like, wait, oh, right. It's Alfred Molina. But it doesn't look anything like Alfred Molina. Why didn't they get a face mask of Alfred Molina? What the hell?
Maybe he lost. Maybe he put on weight between then and then. I don't know.
But also, like, why isn't it the back of his head, right? Like, wouldn't that solve this problem so easily?
Oh, it should have. That's 100% the easier choice. But then I guess it's hard for Indy to be like, well, sorry, buddy.
Yeah. I don't know. It cracked me up. And I was like, wow, this doesn't look it looks about as much like Alfred Molina as it looks like you or me.
Yes.
It's just like a guy. So anyway, Belloc steals the idol. We get this great piece of John Williams music as Indy.
He just knows what he's
sprinting through
doing.
the jungle. He's so good. I mean, the master, the greatest living composer, bar none. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
Although Silvestri's pretty great.
Silvestri is very good. Isn't he dead?
I have no idea.
No, Horner's dead.
James Horner is dead.
The other guy we liked. Yeah, okay. Sorry, Alan Silvestri. I hope I didn't just jinx you.
I also like Danny
Cross your
Elfman, but I
fingers,
know
John
his stuff
Williams.
is more specific.
I've softened on my dislike of Elfman. I still think John Williams is
I think
for me.
I said it before. I think Danny Elfman is like saffron, whereas John Williams is like
Sure.
garlic powder. Like,
Yeah.
it's just gonna go in more stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Elfman very talented. I have come very much
When you need him, you need him.
from-
He's great.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's a great way to put it. John Williams performing here in DC later this summer. Cross your fingers for me out there, everybody. Dying to get to see him.
Well, you
check out
you
what fucking-
theoretically did see him that one time in a balcony.
I am sure that was him. I absolutely am sure of it. But my wife still thinks
That was just an old man in a suit.
Yeah. Like, no, it was a tuxedo. It was John Williams. I love this little bit. So he's got Jock Lindsay, Indy's pilot, is fishing off.
Who now has a restaurant in
Pontoon.
Disney Springs. Chuck
That's
Lindsay's
right,
Hangar
that's
Bar.
Yeah. Where you can eat in a diving bell, which is kind of fun. But he's like, he hears Indy and he clearly has just hooked a fish and is like, should I? And then eventually you can tell him, be like, fine. And he puts the thing down and then you see this army come running out of
Yes.
and him going from like, fine to, oh shit, is such a good little piece of acting from this guy who he gets like 2 lines. Very, very good stuff.
It is so funny that this like nothing character is like has a restaurant in Disney Springs. It's
Yeah.
wild.
I truly think it's just because like a bunch of dorks run the show, you know what I mean? And it was like, we need something themed. And they're like, what if it was Indiana Jones? Well, how are we going to do that? For Jock Lindsay?
I was like, but Marion owns a bar.
Well, it burns down in this movie.
So what? Marion could have rebuilt here in Florida. Like, come on.
I think the other thing too is Jock Lindsay, just based on his ball cap and shirt, seems to have like a Jimmy Buffett
I
energy.
literally was about to say Jimmy Buffett.
Much like you can see Jimmy's playing the Hemisphere Dancer at Universal Studios at the City Walk.
Yeah.
You know,
Featured in Jurassic World.
the plane isn't.
No, but Jimmy Buffett is.
Oh, well, his plane that's in the harbor at Universal Studios is actually Jimmy Buffett's plane.
Oh, shit, really?
It was also once shot at by the Jamaican government. He wrote a song about it called Jamaica Mistaka. He wasn't on board, but I believe Bono from U2 was.
Like they borrowed his plane?
Yes, and then it got shot at by the Jamaican government due to some sort of misunderstanding.
Huh. Wow.
But that's Jimmy
You would think
Buffett's
he would have like
actual
dual citizenship at this point.
plane of Jamaica.
Jimmy Buffett would just have
in the Caribbean.
Yeah, like it feels enough of his vibe at this point that like right? Tell me I'm not wrong.
Buffett is an honorary citizen of any place with a beach vibe.
Yeah.
He goes to the south of France. They're like, hey, come on down.
Not quite there, but I like the Caribbean, Jamaica.
Okay. Gulf of Mexico?
Yeah, I'll allow that too. We're getting away from the like island vibe.
Okay. Well, I wasn't sure if like Cancun counts because I feel like Cancun has that sort of energy.
It's similar energy, I will say. But I think like to me like Jamaica, Barbados, Bermuda.
Okay. Bahama.
The Bahamas, the Caribbean.
Come on.
Yeah. What?
Just gonna let that go? I was doing the Kokomo.
Oh shit!
You said Bermuda. It's Bahama, and you said Bahama.
No, it's Aruba. Wait, Aruba, Jamaica, to Bermuda. Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
I said Bahama. You said Bahamas, and I said come on, which both worked as me being annoyed and being corrected, and also was the next lyric.
You're right.
I thought you were gonna hit me with a pretty mama.
I know that song mostly because there was a Muppets music video.
Treasure Island?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, it's not Treasure Island.
I think it might have been on Muppet Treasure Island. There was a music video after or before for Kokomo.
Yeah, you're right.
With all the one-off weird like coconut Muppets and like crab Muppet. The Muppets you never see again, except for when they're like in a grocery store or it's like an outdoor market, and you're like, "Who are these Muppets? I don't know them."
I imagine there's a crate at Henson Studios that's just labeled like produce,
bushel of crabs,
full of these. Yeah, exactly. Sea life.
I'm betting they're all kind of like a little sewn on. So it's just like a bucket full of fake ice, and the crab puppets kind of like tied into it. So you just like pull the whole thing out. Sense.
So he this is where we get the first instance of Indy's afraid of snakes because Jock's pet snake is in there, and it's, by the way, Jock as in like jocks versus geeks, not Jock the French name.
Yeah, like a jockstrap. Also, was the snake not there on the flight there, or like what happened?
I'm wondering if the snake like slithered from Jock's compartment to Indy's compartment over the course of the fishing.
Oh, but it's not like a commercial plane. It's two people like hanging out the top of a tuna can.
It's a prop plane. Yeah. It's a prop plane.
You said
two people hanging out the top of a tuna can. It's great.
I thought they called those planes tuna cans.
I've not heard it before, but I believe it. It's just a little prop biplane with sea fins on it. So I also want to say the snake thing will obviously come up later, and it is very nicely referenced in Last Crusade, as we talked about in our previous episode, or set up rather, not referenced because that's a prequel. Indy seems like a much more competent teacher here than in Last Crusade. It's like he, in the 8 years between, he like totally checked out.
Well, he probably got tenure.
Retirement. Yeah.
100%. Indy, the obtainer of rare antiquities and like sole funder and filler of the museum of the college is like, what are you going to do? Fire me?
Yeah. Got it in one. Absolutely. But here he's still like young and hungry.
Oh yeah. But like kind of like giving a Rick Moranis-y performance in this scene.
Yeah.
But all of his students want a bone.
I wonder if it was scripted and I didn't look it up, so if someone out there knows, send a tweet. But the part where he's writing Neolithic on the board and he stops and like spells it out is just one of those little great moments of making something feel so real.
And his one student has "Love You" written on her eyelids, which I always remember, but can never remember which movie it's in.
Yeah. Also, it's very funny to hear that like the lecture finishes, one kid gives him an apple, but all the kids leave. And in Last Crusade, the lecture finishes, and it's 400 kids acting like zombies.
Like it's Elvis. It's like there's teens for Elvis on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Absolutely. But also it's like, well, clearly he's a better teacher here because otherwise every single student is like, I don't understand a word of what you just said.
Yeah. Also, I feel like my headcanon is that the boy who gives the apple's gay because he waits till everyone leaves to like
he does
drop it on the desk and be like and run away.
And then Marcus Brody immediately snatches that up.
I keep thinking Marcus Brody looks like an actor or a character in something else, and he's not, and I can't place it. I know he was in Trading Places, but he looks like a character that was in, I think, an episode of Murder, She Wrote. Like one of those kind of characters, but it's not him.
Without
or the Golden Girls.
I would bet you nearly any amount of money that he was in both of those shows.
He wasn't. At least on Wikipedia, it wasn't there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I thought he played like Blanche's dad or something.
Oh, okay. Well, he also, that's a complaint people have at Last Crusade that like Brody's kind of a bumbling fool.
Yes.
I have always...
that was my complaint. Me. Hi, I'm the complainer.
But Brody is not it's not like Brody does anything in this movie. He's just an administrator. So I don't think it's that insane. Because I feel like I remember the conversation with you being like, I haven't watched it in a long enough time to argue with you. So let me watch it. And now having watched this, I'm like, I don't know. I would kind of believe that this guy wouldn't know what the fuck to do if you plopped him out in the jungle.
It's just, it feels so aggressively stupid in Last Crusade. Wrong.
But he's...
Does anyone speak English? Hello, in this Cairo market?
Or ancient Sumerian.
Like, it just feels aggressively dumb.
It's one of the best jokes in cinema history, that one you're clowning on. So I'm going to have to raise an objection with the court and we could come back to it later. But I would say, for an analogy that perhaps will land with you now that you finally watched the very good show Brooklyn Nine-Nine, he's kind of like a Hitchcock or a Scully, where it's like very good at the paperwork. And then when you make him go out in the field, he's like, meh.
I can see that, I guess.
I think that's sort of his energy. But anyway.
They refer to him as an obtainer of rare antiquities, which is a really clever way of saying that.
A fucking thief.
A thief. A thief. I would love to see a Netflix or like Hulu thing where it's like 3 episodes from a different person's perspective. One is Indiana Jones, one's Lara Croft, and the other's Nathan Drake. And they're all going after the same thing. And like they keep kind of like almost running into each other, and so each episode is like, oh, that's where Indy took the thing.
I thought you were gonna... How about we had a 4th episode, which is like the people who the thing rightfully belongs.
I mean that,
like,
yes.
Stop stealing our shit!
Very much that. But so the government shows up and is like, we need to have a private conversation, and their idea of having a private conversation is in a giant auditorium lecture hall that echoes.
400-seat lecture hall? It's so insane.
Why would they bring him to this classroom that seats 20?
Or his office, perhaps. I will say,
maybe the office was mobbed by students.
That's true. That was the problem in the other movie. So that's probably it here. It is a very cool looking lecture hall.
It is, but like not practical in terms of Nazi government secrets. Or anti-Nazi government secret. The
second one, yes. You're getting confused with Marvel, where everybody was a secret Nazi.
Oh god. Oh, that was a weird one. Got a big old arc exposition dump.
Yeah, and this is the part of the movie that drags, but it's also like a 5-minute scene that very compactly is like, okay, the Nazis are looking for the Ark of the Covenant. Your professor is missing, and he's the only one who knows anything about it. We need you to go look for the professor and go get this Ark from the Nazis. And then Indy has to be like, oh, well, don't you know anything about the Ark of the Covenant? And they're like, no, we're dumbos. And so he has to be like, well, here's the Ark of the Covenant. And then he shows him the picture with the laser beam coming out of it, where he's like, I don't know, lightning, whatever, who knows what it is. And I think that's the shrug that lets off the ghosts, which obviously perturbs you quite a bit. But where it's like,
if it was just lightning or a laser beam, then that's fine. That's cool. Yeah. As soon as you start having like the end of The Exorcist, not The Exorcist, Poltergeist. Yeah. The end of Poltergeist happens. And it's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, it is weird. I
Also,
fully agree.
was that a thing before this movie that like the Ark of the Covenant was like a weapony type thing, or was that sort of skewed for cinema?
I wish I knew the answer. I don't know.
Because I know the Ark of the Covenant was a thing in like religious world.
Absolutely.
I just was like,
I
it?
believe, I always thought that the Ark of the Covenant was carrying the J-Man's remains and not the tablet of the Ten Commandments, but I really have no idea.
I would have thought, I mean, that makes more sense. It's weird that I mean, I guess not, but kind of weird that they're like, these important tablets, we need to carry them around in a gilded box that's so heavy.
Right. Well, the way they explain it is that this is like the tablets that Moses brought down are literally the word of God made manifest.
Yeah.
And so that's why they carry such power, because
It just seems like God would be like, hey, don't gild. I'm not about the gilding thing. Like the God that the quote unquote real God that a lot of people talk about.
I mean, if you were to look at any of the churches that supposedly have a direct line to the guy, he really fucking loves gold.
Yeah, that's
okay.
That's the thing.
I was wrong. I was totally wrong. According to the book of Exodus, the ark contains the stone tablets of the Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
As well as Aaron's rod and a pot of manna.
What did you say? That's what the movie says.
I just said, okay, well, I was saying, you said, is this the real story? And I said,
no, I said, was the weapony part, like, was the, like, smiting from the ark part of the original tale?
Gotcha. I'm scrolling the Wikipedia to see if there is the picture of the ark destroying souls. Honestly, this looks, I mean, it's a very in-depth Wikipedia article that I don't know that much about. It seems like not insane that it might
be full of ghosts?
Yeah. I mean, not full of ghosts, but just like, don't open this on penalty of death.
Yeah. Here there be monsters.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to read this whole thing.
No, you don't have to. I was.
We will not know. Yeah.
We don't have. We're not one of the podcasts lucky enough to be like, hey, can you fact check that for me as we continue?
I was hoping that there would be like in big bold letters, dangers. Like a subheading on the Ark of the Covenant page that I could be like, God.
But like I would say the whole point of the Holy Grail was that it was the humble cup, and then the Ark of the Covenant is like not a humble suitcase.
Yeah, exactly.
Which again, you'd think someone would be stepping someone in the God to somewhere along the string between the two Dixie cups. Someone will be like, "Hey, I don't like this. Don't do it." But that's just me.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem when your messages are not not conveyed directly, but rather through people suffering likely from mental illnesses
through the Dixie cup with the strings.
Yeah. Anyway.
We get a Marion Ravenwood name drop.
Yep. And then we get introduced to her.
And he goes, I don't believe in magic. And I was like, and after this movie, you still won't believe in magic for some reason, you buffoon.
Right. Much like all movies ever made, everything that happens is forgotten in the sequel. Oh, they also mentioned the whole thing with the staff and the thing on the top.
Yeah.
And the beam of light, which is one of the coolest scenes in the movie. So we go to Indy's house with Marcus Brody, and he gets a suitcase out, and he's packing for the trip, and it's like, jacket, whip, gun, done.
I mean, that's all he wears.
No underwear.
Frankly, no, what it should have been, it should have opened the closet and been like,
socks?
It should have been like 6 white button-downs, 6 khaki pants, and 6 leather jackets. And he just goes, I'll take 2 of those. It's a 2-day trip.
Indiana Jones has a Doug Funny closet.
He's basically a cartoon character closet. And then he should have one of those like hard plastic like hat containers that like is shaped exactly like his hat, so his hat doesn't get crushed in travel.
Like Indiana Jones doesn't change his underwear or socks ever, I guess. It seems like a sweaty job that he does.
He is a sweaty man, as we see throughout this movie.
Yeah, very sweaty. Representation for my people on screen. Great map transition. We call for these all the time.
All the time, they're great.
Great.
Yeah. This wasn't the first time that ever happened in a movie, was it?
I can't imagine that the answer is yes, but certainly they have owned it in perpetuity.
Because I'm feeling like the original Mummy or like one of those Universal monster movies might have done something like that to like show passage.
I just watched the original Mummy and I don't remember it, so I can say
I tried to, but it was so goddamn boring.
It is very boring. For a 70-minute movie, it feels like 3 hours.
It's drier than the Mummy. It's drier than the Mummy himself.
Yeah.
Give me Brendan Fraser any day, buddy. Sorry.
The undoubtedly third best Indiana Jones movie is The Mummy. Assuming this new one doesn't displace it, but I can't imagine.
Yeah, it'll be good, but it can't be that good. Sorry, it cannot be that good.
I frankly think this movie is going to stink. I'm just hoping for the best.
I think it's going to be a solid fine. I don't think it's going to it's not going to make waves because movies can't do that anymore.
If this movie is a 6.8, I will be ecstatic with it, honestly.
So is someone playing like Indy's kid with him?
She's his goddaughter.
Oh, who is she? It's a girl?
It's Phoebe Waller-Bridges from Fleabag.
Oh. She's older than I was expecting. I was expecting a young up-and-comer kind of thing.
No.
Not that Phoebe Waller's ancient. It's just I was picturing the Shia LaBeouf that they did in the last one.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, you got to remember that Shia LaBeouf movie is almost 20 years ago.
No, I know that.
So
I didn't think they were going to put Shia. I just meant someone around that age.
Yeah, no, it's a goddaughter, I think, is the relationship.
Okay.
Anyway, I mean, Phoebe Waller-Bridges is really talented. Fleabag is very good. It's, not the most pleasant show to watch, but very good. Yeah. We're doing the shot competition here with Marion, and I have to say, as a kid, never thought about this, but as an adult who's drank alcohol and had too much alcohol on occasion, I don't think this is how this would go. You would drink them unless they've already been. I guess they've already been drinking all night, and so
probably
because when you pass out from alcohol, it's not like I've had this shot and clunk. It's like the body keeps on going. You know what I mean?
Sometimes though, I know people that they do it, and then they're like, "And this is my sleeping corner." Yeah, you just watch the steam run out.
Yeah. It would shock me to see someone finish a sip of alcohol and that happen immediately thereafter. But whatever, it's a movie. Who cares?
Also, I do have a mini gripe about Marion's characterization, and that we're introduced and she's running a bar in Tibet, a very kind of gruff and tumbly kind of place, owning a bar, drinking people under the table, taking their money from the bet, and no one hassles her or tries to steal from her. And so those characterizations lead me to believe that oh, you're a fighting badass, probably. You're a Ruby Rose kind of deal. Okay.
Do you think it's because she got here, kicked a few asses, and earned the respect?
It could be, but it's just that's the characterization I was expecting, and then she kind of becomes a damsel for a good portion.
She does a little bit, but she's fighting all the time, right? She's got the frying pan, she fights a guy with a knife and she knocks him out. It's only when 6 guys get her at the same time, which also when 6 guys get Indiana Jones, he gets caught too.
Yeah. So I guess it just doesn't feel, and maybe this could be a Karen Allen thing, I don't know, but it doesn't feel, the way she fights doesn't feel like I'm confident and I know what I'm doing. It feels like I found a frying pan.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I get that. I get that entirely. Yeah. I do think that she is a little more than a damsel, but she does get carried around and yell, Indy, which is clearly Spielberg was my favorite part of the movie. What if that character just only did that?
That's the second one, right?
Yeah. Kate Capshaw basically just Indy for the whole runtime.
Yeah. So that was my complaint, that it set her up. I was like, oh fuck, she's cool. And then I was like, oh, she's kind of not as fighty as I wanted.
I also think that I don't know. I mean, I guess Ripley, it was 2 years earlier, but there's not that many female characters that are what you described at this point in time. So I'm at least she does stuff.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's weird that they built her the introduction doesn't quite match the character, which is just it seems weird that they would bother to introduce her that way and then
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do think the only time that she gets that she doesn't act like that is when there's 6 men grabbing her at the same time, and it's well, nobody can fight that many people. So yeah. Shadow on the wall intro,
fucking camp intro. He walks in and it's the shadow, the silhouette. I'd recognize that silhouette anyways.
Why are we with a bunch of British orphans?
That's Mary Poppins. That's Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins.
I did not remember the line. I will say that this sniveling Nazi character is so iconic that Marvel was just like, "Hey, Toby Jones, you ever seen Raiders of the Lost Ark? Yeah, can you just do that guy?"
I
mean, that's really
very close to it. I wouldn't say it's the exact same, but it's very close.
That's like really offensive to me as an actor. Like I have a process. Yeah, but can you just do that guy? Can you just be like, "I don't eat meat. It disagrees with me." Like you're just gonna be that guy. Okay, bye.
Toby Jones is the one that is that Zemo? Is he the one who becomes the computer?
Yes.
God, talking about Marvel movies sounds
fucking insane.
Yes.
He's the Red Skull's right hand man, but I like even when I watched that, I was like, oh, they just gave him the outfit of the Nazi from Indiana Jones, like,
which is just the outfit of Judge Doom.
That's fair, yeah. But does Judge Doom have glasses?
Yes, he's got because that's what remember his eyes are the thing that.
Oh right.
And
They come off and then and
he's got crazy cartoon eyes. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Well, we also did that movie. Go to patreon.com/dissecting the 80s. You can hear that episode, one of our live ones.
Yeah. Indy's not before we talk about the Nazis, Indy is not apologetic enough to Marion as someone who like clearly ran out on her a while ago and has not kept in contact, that he walks in and is like, hey, I need something. Hey, buddy, how about how are you at all? Like, even if you don't give a shit, you need to pretend for these 5 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also very funny, like, it's the 1930s. Like, you could just do that. You know what I mean? Where you're just like, yeah, bye. I'm never going to talk to you.
Well, it would have been like the
It's not gonna be
teens.
that weird.
Or the 20s.
Yeah, the 20s. Yeah. Probably.
No, because it would have been, it was 1936.
1936.
So 20 years ago. Because he's almost 40. And he was, I think in the novelization, she was 15 and he was in his 20s when they first got together, which like, we don't need to, we can.
Yeah.
Don't focus on that.
I mean, it's gross. It was a different era and things were very strange.
Yeah.
Don't look up any rock star you ever liked who was active in the 60s and 70s. If you don't want to read stuff like this, because all of them were perv creeps.
Yep. And then it turns out she's wearing the staff of Ra. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Which like
the amulet of Ra.
It's not a small. It's like a Flavor Flav clock.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
It's wild, but yeah. So the Nazi, very good sniveling Nazi acting.
Yeah, I mean I totally understand why Marvel is just like, hey, Toby Jones, just do this. But also it's like, wow, that's movie jail for that. You should go to movie jail. Not Toby, the guy, whoever told him to do that. I'm assuming it's a guy. Maybe it was a woman. I don't know. Hot poker comes towards Marion.
And the Nazi is so sweaty. He's like sweaty. Oh boy, you can't get a little dab going.
Do you think this is actually just a hot poker?
I think it's an actual hot fire. So I think the actor was just standing next to a hot fire wearing a black trench coat.
No, absolutely. You're 100% correct. But I'm saying like in the part where the guy is like walking towards her with a hot poker, like it would be so much easier to just shoot a real hot poker that would glow on camera and would also be steaming in the air. But I was trying to figure out if they like had to do some insane thing with like clear resin and then a light and then all that stuff.
So I'm guessing when he's walking, it could be, especially because 1981. But like,
and it never gets close to anybody.
Well, it does later. Once it starts getting close to their faces, it's probably not. But I think when he's walking with it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it could be, but I sure hope it wasn't.
And then Indy saves the day with a theme park shootout.
Yeah. Big theme park shootout. Also, I love the guy who gets killed in shadow. Like in the same way that Indy was projected on the wall, this guy gets shot and does like a four shoulder shimmy to get shot 4 times.
There's also a wild headshot.
Yes. Yeah. There's 2 wild headshots in this movie that I'm like, wow, that's a lot for this movie that I think a lot of kids went to see.
Yeah. I think my favorite though is when the someone shoots like a beer barrel on the counter and Marion dips under it to drink it, which like it just feels so like great movie ride.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, I love that it's like a little shot of courage and then she goes and kills the guy.
They even gave the Nazi awful hair. Like it is awful hair.
He burns the shit out of his hand, runs outside, and Marion smartly picks up the same amulet with
he Joe Pesci's
handkerchief. Yeah, he does. He gets the full Joe Pesci. I'm imagining a world in which the Nazi like does it by mistake and then makes one of his underlings burn the other side in his hand so they don't need to take the amulet and they just like have it like Joe Pesci.
Or he just does it to his other hand so that he has both.
Yeah. Marion's like, I'm gonna be your partner. Wham!
You just burned down. My bar is burned down because of you.
Yeah. You ran out on me, showed up in my life, asked me for a favor, and then burned my bar down.
Also, her dad is dead.
Yeah,
the one that they were going for originally is dead.
Yeah. John Rhys Davies.
Beautiful shot of Cairo.
Salah. Yep.
Isn't Jonathan Rhys Davies also in The Mummy?
I don't think he's in The Mummy. He's in the Lord of the Rings movies, though. He's Gimli.
Oh, he's the dwarf, right?
Sure, if that is right, and I was right about calling him Gimli, yes.
I just know the name.
Gimli is the dwarf. I said he was Gimli with some confidence and then immediately regretted it.
Yeah. Tolkien.
Great great performance in this movie. Turd human in terms of his politics.
Oh, really? That's a bummer.
Yeah. He not the best guy. But I will say very like melodious, mellifluous voice.
Mm-hmm.
There's a real musical quality to the way he speaks.
I agree.
Also, he's a Welsh guy playing someone who is clearly not supposed to be Welsh. So,
I mean, we can't. There's only so much we can blame the actors for when, like, Hollywood wasn't. It's not like Hollywood was like reaching out to Egyptian actors. They were like,
right,
"Hey, you, can we spray you down with orange paint?
You look like kind of dark enough to play Middle Eastern. I'm Welsh. Yeah, well, I don't really care.
Here's some orange acrylic spray paint and a black eyeliner. Now you're Egyptian. Congratulations."
Speaking of eyeliner, Indy in the first sequence with the ball, super thick eyeliner.
I didn't notice that.
He looks like he looks like wow, what the hell movie do we did another movie where somebody had like insane eyeliner for one sequence, like Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow liver eyeliner.
There's that one actor that looks like he's wearing eyeliner all the time. The one he was
from the Batman movie.
The mayor from the Batman. He's done other things too, but the mayor in Batman always looks like he's got a lot of eyeliner on.
Is he one of those dudes who had it tattooed on? I feel like I read that about some actor.
That seems like a wild choice to do that.
Yeah.
Almost as wild as that fucking like bone lengthening surgery that they've been talking about lately.
Yeah. Anyway, one of my favorite lines of this, just like a throwaway, is he hands Marion a bunch of dates and she's like, "What is this?" And he's like, "It's a date. You eat them." So good. The idea, it's like, "Hey, bud, not everyone's seen all these exotic fruits as you have."
I mean, she's from like Tibet, so she's probably seen them.
Clearly not. She doesn't know what they are.
Also, when they're in Jonathan Rhys Davies' house, this like monkey shows up on their patio, and it jumps onto Marion, and they're like, "Oh, it's your monkey now," and she's like, "That's weird." And then when they're in the market, the monkey runs away, and turns out the monkey's a fucking spy somehow,
and a Nazi,
like a Nazi spy.
The monkey does a sing hail.
Like
the sequence where the dude does a sig hail, then the Nazis do it back, and then the monkey does a sig hail, and the Nazis like sig hail him back, and then are like, "Did I just do that to a monkey?" It's so like the.
And you know what sucks? Animals don't forget things that you teach them.
No,
they really hold on to them. So that poor monkey was probably sig heiling all the way till Jurassic Park when it probably died.
It's close enough to a wave that maybe you just got away with it with the monkey.
I don't know.
If a human does it, not so much.
No. Well, I already talked about the accidental heil that happens a lot in Disney World.
Yes.
You're supposed to point with two fingers or the whole hand, and the problem with gesturing with your whole hand is that if you point in a direction and then turn your hand to indicate another direction, you will sometimes accidentally do a little heil, and you got to do a quick flip.
Yeah.
There's a market brawl.
Love a good market brawl. And then this is one of the famous stories of this movie, that everyone had really bad food poisoning except Spielberg, because he was a weirdo who didn't eat the food while they were on location. And Harrison Ford had different versions of this story are told differently. What I think is the truth is that he was trying not to shit himself. But other people like to say he was very tired, but it was like,
no, he had to
poop.
He had to poop.
Yeah. I don't think he had to poop. I think he was afraid. As someone who just recently had food poisoning, he wasn't in need of pooping. He was afraid of pooping himself is the thing. I was in Disney World 2 days later, and I was like riding a roller coaster like, oh wow, I've never been on a ride and thought I might poop my pants, but I'm happy.
You were going to be the reason they had to pull that car out of commission.
Exactly. Nothing happened. It was all fine. But I was like, oh, I'm not ready for this. Like, it is too quick. But that is why there's supposed to be a big whip knife fight here. And instead, Indiana Jones, rightful choice for the character, just shoots this guy.
Yeah. I always hear that apocryphal story, but like, that's what happened. But I can't imagine that the stunt coordinator, like, they choreographed all that and they were like, no, we can just scrap it. So like, it had to be
that happens all the time.
Like that?
Oh yeah, like I mean, look, this is a dumb example of a tiny little thing that I made when I made a short film, but it was like we had a stunt, not a stunt, like an effect idea, and we tried it and it was working okay, and we couldn't get it to work, and we tried it twice more, and it was like, we don't have time to keep fucking with this, we're just gonna cut this. So I think that happens with, I mean, I don't know about a giant budget movie like this where like weeks are spent on stuff, but I'm sure stuff gets cut because it's like, we're just out of time, we don't have time for this. You know, you're running out of daylight or something goes long. Like, I'm sure that happens, that like stunt coordinators' work just gets thrown in the trash. They're low totem pole people.
Yeah, that sucks.
Also, this moment is objectively way more entertaining than a big knife whip fight.
I agree, but still. So Marion accidentally gets carted away and then gets kidnapped in a home goods hamper.
So also, really quick before that, there's when these guys first roll up on them and Indy's like punching dudes. Marion has a guy down on the ground, and she's supposed to be like hitting him with a.
She's like put no energy into these hits.
Dude, it looks like when you hit a child with a pillow and you're like pretending you're like, rah! And then of course you actually don't like clobber a child. And she looks like she's doing like the worst fake swings in history.
I saw that and I was like, girl, this looks like you're doing quarter speed.
Yeah, not good. But yes, they put her in.
No, she puts herself in the home goods hamper.
That's true. And then the snitch Nazi monkey screeches and gives
rat
her up.
Bastard.
They get her into a truck. The truck
I will say she's not fighting hard enough. As someone who does partner work, the person being lifted has to do a lot of like not moving in order to not fall. She could be throwing her body every which way, and she's clearly not. I gotta say it. I gotta say it.
Well, I also don't know if she's in the basket.
She is. She keeps saying Indy.
No, I'm saying when they're right, but we don't see Marion in the basket. You think she's in the basket because of the movie tells you she's in the basket.
Well, what to what end would Marion not be in the basket?
I'm saying Karen Allen might not be in the basket.
I'm talking about the character Marion is not fighting hard enough to not be kidnapped in a hamper.
You want right, but so you're saying you want the basket shimmy and shaking.
Yeah, the basket should have been wobbling more because she could have. You're being carried by two guys like that. You can knock yourself over. You can throw them off balance. It's pretty easy.
You might hit your head very badly, but you could try it.
The alternative is kidnapped by Nazis, so I'll take my chances. I hate to break it to you. Something we have to think about now in 2023. If the options are kidnapped by Nazis or a head injury, I'm taking the head injury.
Yeah, fair. The good guys punch Nazis. Everybody remember that.
And call them Nazis. Just call them Nazis. They're Nazis.
Certainly the ones that are Nazis are Nazis. The truck explodes.
It's a good explosion. I literally wrote, that's got to be a decoy truck, and then it exploded, and I went, that's definitely a decoy truck.
Indy is drinking himself sick here, and
with
Belloc
the monkey bastard, and I was like, I'd just snap its little neck.
Well, he doesn't know yet.
I know, but I wanted Indy to know. I was like, how do I telepath this to Indy to pick up the monkey and break its little neck like a bird?
They never find out that the monkey is a Nazi. The monkey just dies by eating poisoned dates.
Yeah, it does the right thing and kills itself.
It took the Hitler way out.
Yeah. If you're a Nazi, do the right thing and end it.
Just punch your own ticket. Or stop being a Nazi. That's also fine.
I mean,
atone for your sins. Well, people can change. That's a real thing. People can.
You never saw it, whatever.
Belloc is absolutely ripping on this hookah, and I was imagining like the remake of this movie, which God, help us, never happens. But I'm imagining the remake version, the dude has one of those like C-3PO vape rigs. It's just like C-3PO's arm.
Did you ever see I Care a Lot?
Yeah, she has a.
I'm imagining the C-3PO dong that she's sucking on the whole movie.
Yeah, exactly. But I just imagining Belloc being like, and then blowing up a huge cloud and being like, cotton.
Cotton candy.
Yeah. No. Like
I know. I'm picturing he has cotton candy vape.
You think he has he has black market flavored vape that's not allowed anymore.
Oh yeah. Did you ever go to? I feel like hookah bars became a bit like kind of had a moment when I was in college, and I went to one once.
I went like twice in college. I think they're really popular in college campuses because there's like just not a lot of spaces to hang out when you're under 21, and so it's like a thing you can go there and pay $4 for a bottle of water.
I know. And then like 25, I don't remember how much it was, but it was expensive, I remember.
I remember the hookah being fairly inexpensive. It was like, $20 or $25, but you're splitting it with 4 or 5 people for like a big hookah. But then it was like the table would have a check. It's like when you go to a comedy club and there's a 2-item minimum and it's like, okay, so what's the cheapest thing on the menu? Oh, a $4.50 bottle of water. Just charge more for the tickets. This feels shitty. Like, I hate this.
I agree.
But yeah, it was in college. Like maybe I went 4 or 5 times. I didn't love it.
Yeah, I didn't love it either. I went a couple times. The one time we got a pineapple, it was like they like did the like
a literal pineapple.
Yeah, they like did the pina colada pineapple thing, but they put the hookah in it.
Did it taste good?
It was over 10 years ago, so I don't super remember.
I feel like that would be a memorable experience. I don't know.
It had like a smoky pineapple taste. I don't think it did a whole lot, but it was.
We always had like very fruity flavored tobaccos when we would do it.
Yeah.
And then actually, you know what happened? We went like a couple times, and then a friend of mine was like, "You can buy this thing on eBay. Like, if I spent $30 on the internet, I could buy a hookah and a bunch of tobacco and the charcoal, and we would save money." And it was like, "All right." And then we did it a few times with that person's like rig for a while.
Yeah.
And then I remember a bunch of people being like, "Let us smoke weed in there." And she was like, "No, because it will smell like weed forever. I don't want to do that." We were like, "Come on, let us smoke weed. We'll be like the caterpillar." And no, like, no.
Like the caterpillar.
I made that up, but it was funny.
They got some real Batman Joker vibes, dynamics.
Belloc and Indy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, I'm right in the train. I'm getting the train back.
Yeah, no, you're good. And then Indy gets saved by all of Sala. Is it Sala or Allah?
Sala. Allah is the god. It's Sala.
Allah's god. Yeah. All of Sala's kids come in and are like, Indy, Indiana Jones, and just pull him out. There's like 80 guys with guns pointed at him, and
also like, do you really think a Nazi henchman's not going to shoot a kid?
Right. I think the only thing of it is like, I think all these dudes are hired, local hires, and I think they all know Sala, and they know Sala's kids, and they're like, I'm not fucking shooting Sala's kids for you. I don't care how much you're paying me, because it's come on. This Nazi's not paying more than like minimum wage.
That's the thing. These people that are like doing the digging and all that, I'm like 100% they're getting paid like pennies. Like he even says it, like they're getting paid nothing because this is what happens when you have disenfranchised people, when your political system and socioeconomic system allows for disenfranchised people. You are creating a circumstance in which people will value money and eating and living over their ethics.
Right.
Fix the broken systems.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. You're 100% right. I just find it funny in the context of Indiana Jones. But what you're saying is 100% true. I 100% agree with you. The kids save him. They take the amulet to a friend of Sala's, and he kind of decodes the thing and is like, you forgot to check the back.
Which is so wild to me.
I love this. It's such a delightful thing. It's like, well, the Nazis don't have the amulet, right? They only have the thing on the guy's palm. So that's what causes this problem, right?
It's brilliant. And I didn't even catch it at first blush. It wasn't until later that I was like, well, why do the Nazis have any of the amulet? And then when he was the like guy showed up again, the Judge Doom Nazi, and like Heiled with the burn on his hand, I was like, oh, right.
Yeah, he has it literally on the palm of his hand. So this is where the henchman guy poisons the dates.
The monkey man sneaks in to poison the dates, and then
you'd think he would like point at the dates and be like, "Don't eat these, monkey,"
or something.
He watches him do it, but so this culminates with a really cool looking shot where it's kind of like the Junior Mint in Seinfeld.
It's exactly like the Junior Mint in Seinfeld.
But it's like a date going up in the air, and Sala grabs it out of the air and is like, "Don't eat that," and points at the monkey, and the monkey's dead.
The only good Nazi monkey is a dead Nazi monkey.
The dead Nazi monkey, absolutely. So this is probably one of the
Bastards?
99% sure.
Okay.
Yeah. This is one of the most parodied things in the movie. I actually quite like I think in Family Guy, it was how he found the porn. Like he hit his.
So Family Guy had there are 4 in the first couple seasons. Yeah. There's 4 distinct references to this movie. There's Get the Plane Up. Yeah. There's the Ark of the Covenant, the head thing, the staff. There is the warehouse. I think they put James Woods in the warehouse.
Yes, I think you're right. Yeah.
I can't remember the other one.
Top Men part might be a separate reference than the
I think because I think Top Men leads into that.
Okay. But yeah, I remember. I think it was like him hiding the porn, which I found to be a very good joke, riffing on this. But I love this is so delightful. Like he climbs down this wonderful set. It's kind of like a model of the site. Hooks this thing on.
How does he know where to stand? There's not 2 feet prints.
There's a board where you put the staff into. It has symbols on it. And he wipes the sand off and figures out which. It's like a probably 6x10 pegboard, and they're all symbols.
Yeah, I have to say, I would imagine. So I'm guessing that those symbols are if it's the month of June, put it here because the sun is different at different times of the year. So
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's what it is. I think it's like a calendar, and you put it on at different parts of the calendar. Yeah. So they find out where it is.
Some sunbeam magic for some reason. It's
such good music here too.
No, the music is excellent.
Yeah. So he finds out where it is. The Nazis capture Sala, who then has to sneak back over it with a makeshift rope, which has a Nazi flag at the end of it, which I kind of love.
That was funny.
Gets Indy out of here. Oh, Marion's still alive.
But he has to leave her there because then if he takes her, they'll realize something's up.
Which is honestly
smart.
Not insane. Yeah,
it's
she
smart.
gets very mad about this, but it was good logic.
In the moment, I can see why she's I'm not thinking rationally because I'm tied up in a Nazi camp.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not thinking clearly.
I'm not saying hysterical woman. I'm saying a person tied up in a Nazi camp is going to be like, just get me out.
Sure. So they start digging. Beautiful.
It is kind of wild that Indy walks around has a sextant on a tripod, and no one is hey, why are you doing that? We Nazis will tell you where to dig.
Anymore.
Huh?
He doesn't have the staff anymore.
No, but he is out on the in the desert with a sextant on a tripod, and you'd think the Nazis would be no, why are you worker bee doing that? We'll tell you where to dig. You don't have to think about where to dig.
Yeah. I mean, them getting away so long from the Nazis is ridiculous. But also, I do wonder if it's the Nazis immediately capture them once they have the thing.
Well, because also I've seen so many movies that the shots through the sextant, I kept waiting for a hand to cover the lens.
Sure.
And then the Nazi to be well, Mr. Jones.
I don't eat meat. It disagrees with me. That's the only line I remember Toby Jones saying in that movie. So
it's better than me because I was thinking Toby Jones was the one that was activating the Winter Soldier, and that's not Toby Jones.
No, that is a different guy portraying this Nazi scientist, and that is the Tooch.
It's not Stanley Tucci.
Stanley Tucci's the one that turns Chris Evans into the Super Soldier.
No, who activates the Winter Soldier. Stanley Tucci's not a Nazi. How dare you? Stanley Tucci is one of the few Nazis in the Captain America movie.
Stanley Tucci is kind of playing Werner von Braun, I think.
I was talking about the one in Winter Soldier who activates the Winter Soldier by reading the gibberish. He's picnic basket, March 24th, sable coat.
I could not pick that person out of a lineup with a gun to my head.
I can't either, but I know it's not Toby Jones.
Yeah.
Because Toby Jones was old. We would have been old at that point.
Toby Jones, as I said, doesn't eat meat because it disagrees with me.
And then he becomes a computer somehow.
Then he becomes a computer. Anyway, there's a very beautiful shot of the sunset, which turns into like a really creepy storm, and the lightning's going nuts as they're finding the
Indy looks like fucking Dr. Frankenstein.
Dr. Frankenstein's a good pool. I honestly thought it was like borderline Charlton Heston and the Ten Commandments stuff here.
I can see that too. Also, Bullock at one point is like, they're like saying like how they're gonna like beat Marion or like torture her to get her to talk, and Bullock's like oh, you can't do that to the lady. And I was like, I hate to break it to you, sweetheart, you're either all Nazi or you're no Nazi. You can't be a percentage Nazi.
Yeah,
it's not a slider, it's a switch.
I'll be a little bit Nazi.
It's a switch. I'm sorry.
You know, it's like she's a little bit country and he's a little bit rock and roll. I'm a little bit Nazi, but I don't do the lady stuff.
Yeah.
And honestly, I really don't care so much about the Jews. It doesn't really bother me if somebody's Jewish. I don't really understand that part, but I do like the gold. and very much like stealing the religious artifacts. Can I steal more of the religious artifacts as a Nazi? Sign me up then. I don't know what this voice is, but I enjoyed it.
I don't either, but it's fun.
Belloc, sorry, not Belloc. Sala is like, Indy, why is the floor moving? And just drop the torch down and it's just all snakes. And I love that it's like 30% real live snakes and 70% black rubber snakes from the boardwalk.
Oh, 100%. Also, like in movies, the only snakes that exist in Egypt are asps.
There's a king cobra here.
But literally he sees them and Sala goes, asps, very poisonous. I was like, yeah, because in Egypt, there's only one snake. There's one kind of snake in Egypt and it's an asp.
Isn't a cobra like a jungle snake? I feel like
I'm pretty sure it is, yes.
True. Okay.
Also, I wonder, because cobras, their like hood isn't always wide. Like they look like normal snakes and they open it. So I wonder if like
it is hissing at him.
Yes, but I just mean in like general biology, the cobras open their hood to like threaten. I wonder if you like opened up like your coat to a cobra, if it would be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like game respect game.
That would be funny. I won't test it.
No, but like I imagine, like
should it ever occur that I get in that situation, I will try.
Because isn't that what like for mountain lions you're supposed to do that too?
Yeah,
and not for bears.
Some bears, yes, not all bears.
Well, I don't have the time to be like, which bear is it?
Never run away from a bear is the important piece of information.
Yeah,
never.
And bears can climb trees.
Yes. So we're cutting back and forth here. Indy down, making his way down to where the Ark is, and Marion is trying to outfox Belloc.
It's the weird, like, captors make the captive change into a dress trope that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Also, heels in the desert.
Yeah, very impractical. Very impractical. But it is worth it because later we get the very cool shot of the snake going through the peep toe part. So
yeah, that's true.
Cool. But yeah, so they are making their way down. Marion pulls a knife, and then the Nazi comes in. And
she does the drinking game. She's like, This is what I was like. Oh, it's Chekhov's drinking game. We've never seen one of those before.
Yeah, and she's very clearly faking being very drunk, just to try to get one over on this guy. Ends up starting to get away, but the sniveling Nazi comes in and he pulls this thing out. He takes
this is so fucking camp. This sequence right here is like so camp because I forgot that this happened and the whole finish. I was like, what in the Joan Crawford like nonsense is this?
I also forgot about this sequence because I was like, what does he pull out here again? And then when it became a hanger, I laughed out loud legitimately because it's like such a ridiculous thing. And it's like, oh, I can't have my coat getting creased on the back of a chair.
It looks like nunchucks, and then it looks like some kind of like mouth garrote or like gag, and then he like twists it into a coat hanger. It's wild.
You know what they say? No wire hangers, right? Is that right? No wire hangers. Ha ha ha! Like your American Joan Crawford.
So they get the Ark up from the inside the sand tomb, and I was like, how the fuck are they gonna get this out of this Nazi camp? And then they're immediately spotted.
Yeah, I also love that it's Indy and Sala down there, and they're like, all right, we tied the crate up, pull it up. And it's like, no, one of you should go up first to be the guy in charge of the work crew. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. We get an upskirt shot when Marion gets thrown down, which...
It honestly looks like she's wearing bike shorts.
She's wearing bike shorts and then white panties over them, which is weird.
Yeah.
Just put her in tights.
Honestly... Right. Or just like have the dress be tighter or something.
Or don't do an upskirt shot, but you know.
I do think it looks very cool when she's dangling from the mouth of that thing. So I understand like from a filmmaking standpoint why you'd want to do it. But like, why didn't you just have her wear like white, tights or something? It just is very strange. Also, I do wonder if seeing it in HD at home makes it more obvious than back in the day.
Oh, probably.
Although probably little pervy kids going frame by frame.
Pausing, yeah.
Underwear, yeah. I also love that they're like, hey, Dr. Jones, we have a gift for you. And it's like, we're just going to chuck this woman 30.
We're going to drop a woman off a fucking building.
Yeah. Like, this woman with a bag of soup. What are we doing here? I did not remember the sequence of her like holding on and then like jumping down. And I was like, how the hell did she survive this? It's so far.
I know. They seal them up in there, and then Indy takes a lot on faith that if he destroys this wall, the entire cavern won't just collapse around them.
Sure. But they also have no way out, and he sees that the snakes are like going through to something, so he's like, well, there must be something on the other side.
So we'll either run out of oxygen slowly or get collapsed and drown in sand. We'll grain engulfment in sand.
Maybe they were planning to swim upwards as the sand came in.
I feel like that would be difficult because grain engulfment is tough.
Impossible. Oh yeah, you die. Yeah, no, I was being stupid because it's an Indiana Jones movie. I also love the snakes in the wall are so very clearly like a bundle of rubber snakes that a bunch of prop guys were just like rotating in a circle to make it go. It's just a bunch of snake tails waggling.
So they smash through the wall, and then all of these dead bodies start like moaning and screaming, and I was confused.
Yeah. It's just purely to be like, hey, audience, you're supposed to scream right now.
Yeah. Then we cut to the climax of the stunt spectacular, which is the airplane fight with the beefcake mechanic.
Yeah.
Although the one in Disney World is much beefier.
Yeah. Currently, it's a former pro wrestler, a guy who like kind of washed out of the WWE development system.
Oh, it used to be someone that I thirst followed on Instagram.
Oh, well, I think there's a few.
They rotate. Time. He's like a literally like six something like wall of muscle. I saw him in Disney Springs one time and genuinely was like, whoa, like.
You should have said hello. He probably would have been flattered.
No, I'm good. We're good. I don't need to be creepy about it.
One of the guys who used to work for AEW, the company I watch, moonlighted as one of the Waterworld bad guys.
On the jet skis?
Played by. Yes, the character played by, oh my God, what the hell's his name? Blue Velvet? Fuck.
I haven't seen Waterworld in 100 years. That was a weird movie that we liked for some reason.
I still have a soft spot for Waterworld. It's like a big, gigantic epic. It's sloppy as hell, but there's parts of it I really like. Anyway, this sequence rules. There's like, Indy gets the absolute shit kicked out of him. I love the first punch. He like perfectly performs, and it's probably Vic Armstrong, his stunt double, who does it. But the like his knees turn to jello and he just collapses down onto his ass.
Yeah,
it's so perfect. I don't like combat sports that much, but I have seen this happen when real people get punched, and it's like exactly what it looks like when someone gets.
Makes sense. Your body is just like bloop, bloop, going down.
Yeah. Marion gets stuck in the plane cockpit, which leads to some good hijinks. I do love that they set up the danger of the propeller by having it break a metal wrench in half. Mm-hmm. So later, when we finally get the scene where the Nazi's standing in front as it closes in, and Indy just turtles, and he's like, huh? And turns around right into the fan, just chunks of him go flying.
It's a satisfying death. I don't remember how they do that in the theme park. Does it just happen in the back?
Yeah, but I don't think they do the I think what happened...
They don't do a blood spray, obviously.
No. What used to happen is he'd drop down into a pit, and then they've recently changed it, and I forget what happens now. Because it was dangerous. Like, it was... People got hurt, not life-changingly hurt, but dropping down into a pit, it's hard. So I forget what they've changed it to, but they did slightly change that part. And I don't think it blows up quite as large as it used to.
Well,
There's still a fireball, but
the scene was like written to be a theme park show. A lot of this movie feels like that, but this scene sequence especially, it's like the rotating plane with the gunshots and the fighting and then the fire.
Yeah, so they blow this thing up and that draws all the Nazis. And so Sala, Indy, and
Marion.
I was like, Karen Allen. Yes, but there's a character name. You should say that one. Are watching it, trying to figure out what to do. This is the only time Indy has his hat off, which I think is kind of funny that he's like, the hat sticks up too high and I'm trying to be incognito.
Yes.
And he's like, I'm going to chase them down. You guys meet me in Cairo. And they're like, well, what are you going to do? And he's like, I don't know. I'm making this up as I go along. It's just
and he
like,
hops on a horse and rides away.
Yeah. That's the character, folks. That's the character. The horse truck chase is very fun. I kind of prefer the tank sequence in Last Crusade if we're comparing very similar sequences.
Yeah, but it is a well done car chase sequence, which something I would get very bored with normally.
Yeah. I think it's because it's not just chase. It's like there's the chase, and then he gets on the truck, and then there's some hand-to-hand.
It's very dynamic.
Stuff. Yeah. Then there's some gun stuff, and it's like
camels. Wilhelm scream.
Yeah. The other thing with this movie is there's an old adage in movie making, which I'm not sure is as like gospel of a rule as it used to be, but it was, if you're making a movie like this, there should be an action beat every 10 pages. So like you never go more than 10 minutes without doing this. I think this movie has like a perfect pacing from that standpoint of like, there's about 2 hours long, just under 2 hours long. And there's like 10 good action sequences in it. And they're all a little bit different from each other. It's not a lot of samey stuff. And so it's like, this is a chase sequence. Then there's like the big market fight thing, which is different than the big shootout at the bar and stuff. So it changes up what it's doing so that everything feels fresh when it happens, which I like a lot. I love that he heaves a guy just like straight out he gets onto the truck and just heaves a dude out of it. And eventually punches the other guy out the other side. We
get a really great featured extra on the windshield. Like they like drive through like an encampment of some kind. And an extra ends up like on the windshield, and we see his face for a good couple seconds. He's like, "Whoa!"
He comes within like a quarter of an inch of spiking the camera, but manages not to, which is impressive. And then eventually, this leads to the truck with the Ark getting driven into a thing. I think it says Otto's garage, or I forget whose garage it is, but it's like a person's name.
It's such a great sequence. It's so smooth.
It's like in GTA when you're like, you have a 5 siren warning from the cops and you go to like a spray house and you just like pull in there and then they change the color of your car and suddenly you're just like, oh, where'd he go? I don't know. And the Nazis leave and the whole town's like, we did it! And I'm like, wait, why did they also bought into this?
Because they know the Nazis are bad.
No, I know. It's great. It's just it's like these people are just like, fuck the Nazis. I love it.
I also love when a grunt thinks he can take on the hero. I always think of that scene in Goldmember when Michael Caine is like, look at you. You don't even have a name tag. Do yourself a favor. Just lay down now and then we'll just talk around you. And the henchman like gets nervous and just lays on the ground.
Yeah. It's really good. They have like a literal, so they're like, it's like catch your breath. They say goodbye to Sala.
Marion looks like Winona at the end of Heathers. She's got like soot on her face and her hair is a mess and she's like wobbling. Yeah.
She and Indy, she literally does like a cartoon mirror gag where for some reason she decides to flip this mirror to the other side. It's not like those little mirrors in hotels where it's like
one side's 5X, one side's 1X.
Yeah, and it's like, no, she just flips this over for no reason and just clobber. It's like a full-on uppercut from the Nazi.
She also looks like she's wearing Carrie's prom dress.
Yeah, it's a very silky number that apparently these men on this boat gave her, which I have some questions.
I mean, a lot of pirates were gay. Maybe they were also in the 30s.
I thought these pirates were sex trafficking. Your thing is way better.
Yeah, I look on the happier side.
But I also love there's like a very sweet sort of like seduction scene. It's tender more than it's like sexy, but she's like kissing different parts of his body that he says don't hurt. Then she kisses him and they have like a pretty passionate
kiss. Music swells.
And then she pulls back and he immediately falls asleep and just like can't be woken. He's dead to the world.
Yeah. Then we see the Ark burning through the wooden box it's in.
Yeah.
Which like doesn't really get explored or explained.
No, it should be a little bit of like, oh, it's gotten jostled around and therefore the power's like leaking out of it. But instead it just like, is trying to hide itself.
It just
seems,
burns
honestly.
all the text and Nazi imagery on the box. And I was like, now it just looks like that Indy was trying to hide the Nazi box.
Right. You should have charred the whole box.
Yeah.
Ark of the Covenant. So the Nazis attack this boat with a submarine, come aboard, which leads to some real Looney Tunes gags of like Indy's hiding in the smokestack, which I think they do exactly this gag in that Tintin? Yeah, Tintin. Wait.
I never saw it.
Tintin? Is it Tintin
I know
or Tintin?
No, Tintin. It's Tintin.
Okay. Very, very, I like that movie a lot. It's
Isn't it the creepy looking CGI?
It's better than Polar Express by a pretty wide margin.
Okay.
It's all of our guys. It's Guillermo, it's Peter Jackson, it's Steven Spielberg, it's I think Edgar Wright, or if not Simon Pegg, like also involved. It's like all of our guys.
Okay.
It's worth watching. It's like Spielberg doing a movie like this, but getting to do these cool tricks where like the cameras can do impossible things because it's digital. It's like a, cartoon thing.
That's
so
pretty
he can
cool.
do these incredible like 360 shots and stuff. It's worth your time. I recommend it in general.
Speaking of Guillermo, did you ever finish Cabinet Curiosities?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious.
No, yeah, it's all right.
Some good, some lows.
Like every one of those shows, yeah. So they board the ship, they take Marion, they take the crate, they can't find Indy, but the
captain is so smart. I love this captain.
Yeah, this is great.
He's like, I killed Indiana Jones because we had no use for him, but we're gonna sell her. And like, I was like, whoa, that's really brilliant, quick thinking.
And then he's like, leave her with me. I should get something out of the deal and you don't need her. And it's like, yeah, he could have saved her. Obviously, the Nazis are bad people and they say no. But it's like, he's very quick on his feet, this guy. Because he's set up when Sala...
You think he's bad.
Yes. Yeah. And it feels like this scene in another movie, he'd be like, here you are, And instead, he's like, no, he was a good guy.
I radioed for the Nazis.
Yeah. So...
Indy swims over to a submarine, and I was like,
yes.
There's one entrance on a submarine typically, I feel like.
Yeah.
Again, I'm no engineer, but...
They don't show you this part because it doesn't make any sense whatsoever that the
soaking wet man just slops all the way down.
And then figures out where to hide. But I love the whole boat being like, he's over there. Yeah, Indy!
Again,
yeah!
everyone loves Indy. Everyone's cheering for him.
Audience proxy, man. And the other thing that this follows up with this is delightful is Indy does the classic like knock out a guy to steal his clothes, except the clothes don't fit.
I was like, you didn't do a quick eye up that like this twink isn't gonna fit you.
And then the superior officer comes and he's very clearly in German berating him for his hair being a mess.
It says berating in German in the subtitles.
Oh, okay. You had them on. And he kicks this guy in the nuts and then he takes his uniform instead, which is delightful.
Smarter, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the point where the one Nazi is like, I don't like how Jewish this is. And I was like, now you're concerned with how Jewish this is? This Ark of the Covenant is very Jewish.
Right. This is an extremely Jewish endeavor, sir. But they have to do this ritual to open the Ark, and the guy's like, look, if you want to open it in front of Hitler and have it be empty, that's fine, but I think we should probably, make sure that what's in there is in there.
But now it's like, damn, I wish we would have just done it in front of Hitler.
Yeah.
Knowing what we know now, it would have been better to just...
Yeah. Well, then
Indy's just in the back of the room like, we should definitely just show Hitler.
And also, leave that girl here.
I bet Hitler would want to see it first. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Make sure Goebbels is in the room as well. Where's Mengele? He should see this. Indy on the hill with a rocket launcher is awesome.
Beautiful shot. I love this.
The only thing about this that I don't like is like, hey, if you're so worried about not getting the Ark of the Covenant, why don't you blow up half the Nazi battalion and then you'll have like a fighting chance here.
Yeah, I was like, he was like, how do you get out of here? I was like, well, he's going to kill a lot of you with this rocket launcher.
Yeah.
That's a good step one.
Belloc like waves them back and they take like 4 steps away from this. And I was like, I'm not an expert on munitions, but I think you're pretty close to the bomb if you're standing within.
Even Marion's a little too close to this bomb.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. So he won't blow it up. And we get to the big ceremony. Belloc's wearing all this garb, chanting presumably in Aramaic or Hebrew. I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah. And
we get some real carry at the prom electricity going on. All the lights start bursting.
Honestly, I was thinking Ghostbusters proton wands as well with
also
the beams of energy. But nothing happens, and then all of a sudden all the electricity goes, and then Indy starts screaming at Marion to close your eyes. And
also, the box is just full of fine sand.
I thought the tablet was in the sand. No?
I never saw a tablet.
Okay.
Because they pull out sand, and the one Nazi's mad, and then the Judge Doom Nazi's laughing.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe the tablet has just turned to sand.
That's what I thought it was at first.
That makes sense. But I love India. Jesus Christ. Indy is like, close your eyes, Marion. It's you can't look at it. It'll kill you. And they're both closing their eyes, but instead of there's a difference between closing your eyes and squeezing your eyes shut. And in this situation, I would be squeezing my eyes shut. But both Indy and Marion, I assume for film purposes.
In the wides, they're squeezing. And in the close-ups, they're not.
Yeah, I thought that was really fun that they're just like peacefully having their eyes closed like they're meditating. Yeah, instead of a squeeze.
Yeah, you gotta do that tight squeeze. It this beam of energy rockets through these Nazis' chests and just obliterates them.
And then the sniveling Nazi melts, which rules so hard.
Face melting, great. Also, this is
the other guy gets sucked in like a balloon, which I like.
Yeah,
but the face melt is my favorite. Obviously.
Spoiler alert for Cabinet of Curiosities. Skip ahead a few seconds. This ending was just like the ending of the weird 70s rock one.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I loved everything about that except the episode itself.
Sure.
The cinematography, the production design, the music, the casting, the actors, everything was great. And I was like, this episode's kind of meh.
Yeah. So the Ark does this crazy
it
thing.
Rockets. It feels so cartoonish that it the lid rockets into the air and a column of fire and then seals itself.
Yeah. And just clump back shut.
How does it know to do that?
Right. It makes no sense. I mean, the rules are nonsense, but that's fine. So we're back in the room with the army intelligence guys who are basically telling Indy and Marcus that they can suck it, that they're not getting this thing back, even though that was the agreement. And this is the very famous line, it's being overseen by top men. Who?
Top men. So this warehouse is just the underground part of Cabin in the Woods, then?
Yeah, basically. It apparently houses every weird artifact.
Has Spielberg ever speculated what else he thinks could be down there?
I have no idea, but I would love to read it. I doubt very much that he was a consultant on Warehouse 13 on the Sci-Fi Channel, but that was a whole show based on that idea.
Was it we got a Bigfoot in there, a Mothman?
Sure, yeah, I think all that, yeah, for sure. You got your your Shroud of Turin, perhaps. If we're doing a
oh yeah, oh my god. Speaking, so sometimes Hulu gets, I don't know if they accidentally how it works. They get shitty, low budget, what do you call propaganda? And it was called Devil Clone or Devil Baby or something like that.
Oh sure.
And I was like, what the hell is this thing? It said it came out this year, and it was an immoral tech company that knows how to clone things gets a hold of the Shroud of Turin. They're secretly Satanists who want to clone Jesus and sacrifice him to Satan. And I was like, whoa,
that is wild. Is it a religious movie?
I'm guessing it's a
Ken Sorbo joint?
A pro-Jesus,
okay.
What's that shitheel beret? Kirk Cameron. That kind of John.
Yeah. Kevin Sorbo, same deal. Yeah. And Indy and Marion walk off into the sunset, and that's the end of the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Perfect movie, in my opinion. So that is what I will tell you in terms of recommendations.
It's very good. I highly recommend it. It's a very good movie.
I don't know how many directors have two perfect movies, but Spielberg is one of them.
Was Jaws the other one?
Oh yeah, for me anyway.
What about JP? To me, it's Jaws and JP.
Park. Yeah. I don't know if I call JP perfect. Maybe I would. Maybe today I'm not going to, but I might a different day. Love Jurassic Park.
Yeah, it's playing. They're doing the orchestra thing in July.
Oh, it's so much fun. You should go.
I think we're gonna go. It's only $25 for lawn tickets, but it's
please
rain or shine. So
yeah, you'll be fine. Bring a slicker. go as Newman. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Green Knight. I saw that in with the Baltimore Orchestra like 3 years ago, and it's awesome. And the coolest part about it was you see how all the like interstitial pieces of music are like pure horror movie stuff in a way that I didn't consciously notice watching the movie any other time. It's really fun. I highly recommend seeing a movie that way if you are able to. In general, if something I would love to see this with an orchestra. I would probably.
That would be great.
Yeah, or The Last Crusade for that matter. But yeah,
It's a weird one. I would love to see Death Becomes Her with an orchestra, with that like big string score, that like Bernard Herrmann inspired thing.
Yeah, I could see that being fun too. I think you're probably gonna wait a long while for that.
Oh, that's not happening. I'm aware.
But I get what you're saying. But yeah, this movie rules. We are doing Temple of Doom next, so you'll get more Indiana Jones content this month, and roll back to February if you'd like to see Last Crusade or hear Last Crusade, that is. And then we'll let you know what we think of Dial of Destiny whenever we get to it. I definitely plan on seeing that one. I don't know if you feel like you will, but I definitely will. So I'll just keep an eye out. You can follow me on Letterboxd. I'll probably review it. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Don't forget to check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/dissectingthe80s, at Dissect the 80s on Twitter and on Facebook as well. Say hello to us there. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening to the show. We'll continue Indiana Jones in 2 weeks, like I said, but I have been Tripp Leno.
I will always be Andrew Leno.
Until the Temple of Doom.
Don't you forget about me.
Dissecting the 80s is a Chum Some of This production. Things we're gonna cut out in editing.